Duck, 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 goose.
Ooh, are you sure it's him?
Yeah, why not?
This is not what I thought would happen! Ladies, gentlemen, and monsters of all ages,
Food is good. We all love food, right? And in Monster Hunter, food is something that developers put a lot of love and care into for the actual animations themselves, but what is seemingly quite lacking in Monster Hunter Wilds specifically is a proper description of what each food skill does and the proper control over which ones we get. You can get some decent descriptions for some of the buffs when manually grilling a meal, but most of them you can't actually ever see the descriptions for in game. Today we're going to go through all of the food options for grilling itself, the best options for maximizing offense especially, and how to get a supply of these different ingredients you'll need to do that. Then we'll talk about the feast system in depth as well, and there are 4 village feasts that you can be invited to after unlocking them to begin with, and an extra feast as well that does some other stuff, and these generally offer unique and powerful buffs that again, you are never shown the actual effects of in-game, but at this point we either know or have a pretty good guess at what most of these food skills do, so we'll go through all those too, and any other food-based tips. Moving on then to actual food skills that you can get from grilling, and to do this properly you will want to enter a custom meal on your grill. Here you start by selecting your ration type. This pulls from your general pool of rations, which you generate loads of by just talking to Tom at the ingredient center occasionally. No matter which ration type you choose, this will give you 30 minutes on your meal duration, as well as 50 bonus maximum health and 150 bonus maximum stamina. Here you can choose from meat, which gives you +2 to raw attack, fish, which gives +4 to defense, or veggies, which give +2 to defense and +3 to all elemental resistances. Generally speaking, because of how defense scaling works, because of how much you will have in the endgame especially, and the difference between 4 defense and 2 defense, your offensive choice is clearly going to be meat, and your better choice if you want a defensive option is veggies over actually fish, as defense hits diminishing returns at a certain point, and elemental resistances can be a bit tougher to manage in wilds as well. But most of the time when I'm making a grilled meal, I just go with meat here personally for the attack boost. Then for additional ingredients, no matter which you choose here, it will add 20 minutes to the meal timer for a total of a 50-minute meal duration from grilled meals. There are generally 2 of these ingredients per map region, with one being a direct improvement over the other. Sharp Kanafa cheese, just better than regular Kanafa cheese, so on and so forth for the other options here. And as for what they do, Defender Meal is essentially a bonus false divine blessing skill. It has a chance to activate when you get hit, and when it activates it reduces the damage that you would otherwise have taken. If you are afraid of getting one-shot frequently in whatever quest you're about to do, this is not a bad choice to go for. Then we have Delish Room as the advanced black belt meal food. This is essentially a bonus false constitution skill, reducing the stamina usage of fixed stamina actions like evading, making this actually not bad at all for a weapon like bow that uses tons of stamina on fixed actions. Then we have Turbid Shrimp for the tumbler meal. This is essentially a bonus false evade window skill. It increases the amount of invulnerability frames that you get while evading. This can be especially good either for weapons like bow or dual blades that can get bonus effects from iframe evading through attacks, or for any build capable of using the Adrenaline Rush skill for bonus attack after an iframe evade. Then we have the Caprice meal effect from the fluffy and airy eggs, and this gives you an attack increase at random intervals. Specifically, it gives you 15 raw attack for the high version of this buff for about 10 seconds when it activates. It seems to activate once every 5 minutes or so, with the exact interval being pretty inconsistent. That means the amount of offensive value that this gives you is tiny, but it is still the only proper offensive gain from any of these food skill here, at least inherently. Then we have Silt Garlic and Specialty Silt Garlic for Moxie Meal. This protects you from a single one-shot in a hunt, preventing a death one time if damage taken exceeds your remaining health, and it also heals you for a bit when it triggers. All of the other food effects last the full duration of the food buff timer, but this one specifically will only trigger one time and then be gone until you eat and get it again, even if you partake in multiple quests. Then we have the Finishing Touches, which are a way of choosing one extra bonus food skill per meal. Selecting any of these options will also give you an extra 5 to your all element resist after you eat as well. Wild Herbs get you Immunizer for reduced status and blight effects against you. Eastern Honey gives you Medic, which is like a false bonus rank of the Recovery Up skill, which increases the healing you get from all sources. Monster Chili gets you Sizzling Meal, which negates hot and cold climates, as well as giving a slight defense boost in in hot or cold climates. Jeweled mullet row gives an attack increase when you are wet. Specifically, this is +3 raw attack when you're wet, which mostly just applies to the Scarlet Forest, a lot of the zones of that map, but definitely has its places of actual use for offensive game, like things like fighting with duna. Wild seed oil gives specialist, which increases the status buildup of your status weapon attacks, and then truffle dukanga, which gives gatherer meal, increases bones, ores, or other gatherable pickups while this is active too. That said, as far as which of these I would actually use generally, the best offensive grilled meal combination is meat, airy egg, and jeweled mullet row if you expect to get wet at all on the map that you're fighting on. Otherwise, eastern honey if not, just for the healing increase above anything else. If you want a bit more utility, and honestly for most people I'd recommend this instead, go for either the cheese if you're wanting some more protection against tough monsters, the mushrooms for more stamina heavy weapons, otherwise the shrimp for increased iframes on evade. It's up to you. Airy egg is the pure offensive choice, but the eggs are worth so little actual attack and it happens so infrequently that most people will get more out of the actual other options that I mentioned here. As for how to actually supply and sustain these items then, the main answer is trading and material gathering from NPCs. As for trading, most of the food ingredients can be traded for with some basic gatherables from the map of their origin. If you want lots of airy eggs, I recommend trying to trade with Suja Village, or for the shrimp you want to trade with the people from Azuz, as a couple of examples. As for the finishing touches, these are mostly rare gatherables, some of them can be traded for as well with the trading NPCs, but you can get them from either gathering similar items at material retrieval NPCs. For example, setting them to gather honey can get you Eastern Honey for the medic meal option. That said, you can also get Eastern Honey just as a rare drop chance from harvesting honey in general, with the best place that I've seen for it being the ruins of Wyvria. That said, also Poogie, pet Poogie, and he will give you useful food ingredients. I don't know why, but he will. As for Jeweled Mullet Row for our other main recommendation, that comes mostly from fishing for the gravid bowfin fish, which is an orange fish that can show up in any fishing pool in the game pretty much, with a tendency to show up more often during the plenty season especially. And again, you can trade for this quite easily with the trade NPCs too. That said, there's also 4, technically 5 feasts which rely on certain conditions. For 4 of them, they are proper meals with their own sets of buffs, and you can only get them when you are invited by a member of the village to their meal. These last for a full hour when you get them, and generally speaking, you will be offered a new feast once every hour or so while you are actively playing the game. So while you won't have too much choice over which feast you get, you will pretty much always be able to get a feast as long as you're actively hunting for the duration of your food buff. And I've noticed generally that the feast offers come more readily when your food buffs have run out as well. That said, as a base, feasts offer more base stats than standard grilled meals. They offer the same bonus to maximum health and stamina, but you get +5 attack, +10 defense, and +10 elemental resistance. Even with the meat-focused grilled meal, you would only get 2 attack, and then you get the 5 elemental resistance from the finishing touch, but everything else is bonus stats from the actual feast. So a feast as a general concept essentially is the equivalent of having a grilled meal with a swimmer skill active permanently, but also giving you extra defenses and elemental resistances and other skills as well. Each feast has 1 unique food skill, and then they all share the insurance meal food skill. This gives you 1 free feint after eating, 1 cart that will not count towards the quest's limit, which makes it a highly sought after buff for the more difficult quests and monsters in the game. Then all of the feasts have a guaranteed 3rd food skill, which is that region's local additional ingredient food. The cheese in Kanafa for the defender skill, the shrimp in Azuz for the tumbler skill for the extra evade window, and the same for the other region's feasts too. The Kanafa feast then is offered by Isai, and the unique food skill for this is Lucky Meal. This gives you 2 extra target rewards per monster at the end of any hunt that you do. You can see this when you look at the actual rewards at the end of a quest. They actually light up and it will tell you that it is from Lucky Meal. So if you're looking for more monster parts, or if you're looking for things that come specifically from target rewards for a monster, this is a really good one to actually specifically aim for. Then you have the standard feast insurance meal food skill and the defender food skill that we talked about earlier, which gives you a chance when hit to lower the damage taken. The Azuz feast is offered by Maki, and the unique food skill from this one is the carver meal. This gives you 1 bonus carve on any monster slayed within the duration of the buff, which is good for anyone who just likes fully beating the monsters down to the bottom of their health bar. are. It then also comes with the standard feast insurance meal buff and the tumbler meal high buff, which is the increased iframes on your evades. Then the sealed feast is offered by Tashin, and the guaranteed food skills for this one are capture pro meal, which gives you 1 bonus item reward when you capture a monster instead of carving it, so this is a pretty solid one to take for anyone that just likes max efficiency hunting with spam capturing the monsters on repeat. As well, it comes with insurance meal for that bonus cart, and moxie meal, which we talked about earlier, preventing you from being killed by otherwise lethal damage one time after eating. The Suja feast then is offered by the Allharkin, and this has the unique skill Exploiter. This gives you a chance when destroying a wound on a monster to get 2 parts instead of 1. You actually see this pop up on the side of the screen. It will show you that you get 2 parts, and it will also tell you that Exploiter has activated, so you can actually see what this one does properly when it procs. It also has the General Feast Insurance Meal skill and the Caprice Meal High skill, which is the one that increases your attack by 15 for a few seconds every once in a while. That is all of the actual meal feasts and all of the food skills that are guaranteed to get from all the different eating options, but there's also a whole list of bonus food skills that come at random when you eat too. Eating a full 3-ingredient meal or eating a feast will generally get you 2 bonus food skills from this following list. We don't know what all of them do, we know what some of them do, others are our best guess from what food skills of the same names have done in previous games or from certain UI elements that show up in wilds. That said, the ones that we do know are that Rider Meal increases the amount of mount damage that your jump attacks do, making it easier to mount monsters. Riser Meal increases the amount of iframes that you get while standing up from being fully knocked down to the ground. Iron Carver seemingly just makes you immune to any sort of flinches while you are carving, which is relatively niche but does make sense given the name. Escape Artist Meal, based on the same skill in previous games, should likely give a stamina depletion decrease when running away from large monsters. Again, pretty niche, but it would make sense for the skill. Trainer Meal is a 50% increase to your Palico's XP gain for hunts completed during the meal duration, and then based on previous game versions of the same skill, Bulldozer, we assume, should increase your attack power a very small amount after bouncing an attack on a hard monster part, which honestly shouldn't happen very often once you reach white sharpness anyways, but it is something to be aware of. Fortune Hunter Meal increases the amount of zenny that you get after a quest. Fisher Meal makes it easier to get fish to bite onto your hook when fishing, which just cuts out one of the more tedious parts of the fishing activity. And then Top Cat Meal is an attack and defense increase for your Palico. Past that, Hardy Meal is some sort of defensive buff, but I haven't heard of anyone working out what it does exactly. Piping Hot Meal is some sort of attack buff. I've also not heard confirmation on what this actually does. And then Break Time Meal and Balanced Meal, I have no answer at all about yet, but if you know more about any of these food skills, please leave a comment down below the video to share that information with your fellow hunters, as we are still trying to figure out these last few. Finally then, there is technically a 5th feast as well. It doesn't give you any food skills though, because it doesn't really count as a meal, but if you head up to the Wudwud hideout on the Scarlet Forest map, at nighttime during plenty season specifically, you can just head up to the top level of their hideout and interact with all the Woodwoods with all the exclamation points on their heads. Some of them will give you random gatherables for free, some of them will ask you for an item, and if you give it to them, they'll give you something in return, and then if you interact with the main NPC at this feast, you can grill up some monster tails and get a bunch of rations and other goodies in return, which is great for fueling your grilling as well. That said, at the end of the day, my overall recommendation for food buffs in Wild right now is to get feasts whenever they are available from the villages. The flat 5 attack increase on top of the other increases that you get from them makes it instantly better for offense than any of the grilled meals that you can make yourself, especially due to the consistency. And if you really want pure offense, then specifically look for the Suja feast to give you Caprice Meal as well. But for the most part, any feast will do really, especially because even aside from offense, insurance is possibly the most valuable utility or defense food skill that you could ask for, and this comes from any of the feasts. And then the extra crest rewards you can get in different ways from some of them too are always welcome as well. So generally, I rate feasts of all kinds as top tier and always being above grilled meals. Grilled meals then are the second best when a feast is not being offered. If you are actively hunting a monster and notice your food buff drop off though and you lose some of your maximum health, there are 3 different items that you can carry with you to boost your maximum health in a pinch. Well done steaks in wilds will increase your maximum health and count as a food buff with no skills or stat increases except the short-term health and stamina increase. Max potions will increase your maximum health for 15 minutes on their own, and ancient potions will do the same for both health and stamina, and these are both easily maintained for the most part by just trading items with NPCs and the material retrieval as well. That pretty much does it then for today, everyone. Everything you need to know related to food, food buffs, meals, feasts, and maintaining your maximum health and stamina, and everything surrounding that really in Monster Hunter Wilds. I hope this helps you out as you continue through your actual Monster Hunter journey journey. And if you know anything more than I do about the remaining ingredients and the skills that I mentioned there, please leave it in the comments below. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.